Hi, folks. Steve Urban here, founder and CEO at recruiting firm Riderflex. If you enjoyed today's guest interview, please give it a like and be sure to subscribe to the Riderflex podcast. And now, a quick word from our sponsor.
Try the #1 marketing platform for small business. Everything you need from design to marketing to CRM. Learn more at marketing360.com. Marketing 360. Fuel your brand.
Eric Watkins on the Riderflex podcast. Eric, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I like that little studio. Got a little studio going on there.
Yeah, we a little plug for our podcast that we do. We do a podcast called The Grow Show. So I'm actually in the studio right now.
Cool. I love it. Are you the host or are you one of the hosts?
Yeah, it's me. So I'm one of the presidents here. It's me, the CEO, and then we have our other president in the organization that does it. And we've got, I think, 30 episodes so far. We just have some fun with it. It's a good time.
I'm all about it, man. I mean, yeah, I'm 55 years old. If you would have told me, 10 years ago I was going to be the podcast host, I would. What are you talking about, man? I don't. Yeah, same thing. We started Riderflex as a recruiting firm. We started giving daily tips on career advice and job interviewing for candidates, and then hiring advice for our clients. Our hiring managers. And then some of the executives that we served, some of the CEOs that were clients of ours, they were like, "Hey, man, I'll come on your show and give some advice." And well, all right, I guess. And then 4 years later, here we are. So it just kind of happens.
How many episodes have you done now?
I think we've had over 250 guests, and like 260 or so. And then if you include the little 2-minute daily tips that I put out as well, like we have over 1,000 clips on YouTube.
Wow.
It wasn't really a plan. But
I listened to a couple of your episodes and I really like them. So
thank you.
To be on here. Appreciate you having me.
I'll have to check out your show as well. And for the listeners, is Grow Show's on, I guess, everything, Spotify, whatever?
Spotify, Apple Music, or Apple Podcasts. Yeah, the whole 9 yards.
Cool. Are you doing video on YouTube as well or no?
Do we do what?
Video on YouTube or no?
Yeah, well, not on YouTube, but we'll share social clips on LinkedIn. So you could go to my LinkedIn profile as well, and you'll see there's a LinkedIn for the podcast as well. We're kind of getting our feet into it, and then the video part will probably come a little bit later.
All right, for the listeners, Eric Watkins is Eric with a C. There's probably a bunch of Eric Watkins in the U.S. when you type him into LinkedIn, but president at Abstrakt Marketing Group. That's the right profile if you want to connect with him and follow the podcast. Podcasts are, I've talked to so many people, Eric, over the years, and, it's the most difficult part is the consistency over a period of time. It's most folks, they get into it, they're like, "Oh, this is cool." And then after 12 months, they're like, "Damn, this is kind of a grind." And then they start putting stuff out, and they're like, "Oh, I only got 12 likes on that post. And God, I worked really hard on that." And then, the ego starts setting in, and then they start to fade.
Fade away. You got to stay consistent, right? Okay, that's good advice. It's good advice.
Yeah, just anybody that really wants to do a podcast that's listening to this show, listening to this particular episode, I encourage them to set something on the calendar. So let's just say, give yourself 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, whatever mark you want to set. Set that mark. And if you want to do one episode a week or whatever your goal is, set it. And don't look at any stats or any likes or anything like that during that time.
Good advice.
So tell me about yourself personally, man. Where you grew up, mom, dad, siblings. Give us some early history if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah. So I actually grew up in just outside of St. Louis, Missouri, in Swansea, Illinois. Belleville area is what people are more familiar with. About 25 minutes away from St. Louis. I had, was lucky enough to have a great family, great support system. I had my mom and my dad who were both teachers. So then my mom's grandma was a teacher as well. And on my dad's side, his father was in the war and then worked in an oil refinery as well. So I got a little bit of that hard edge to me. And then, I would say I got my hard edge from my dad and probably my smarts from my mom. But it was a great upbringing. I was the youngest of 3 siblings. So I have a brother who's 4 years older and a sister who's 6 years older than me.
All right, very good. Parents still alive? They're doing okay?
Still alive. Yeah, they actually live right next door to me. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, very, very close with my parents. A lot of people would be embarrassed by it, but it just so happened. And my sister lives in the neighborhood as well, so we're kind of keeping it all in the family. So it's nice to, they're are going to be 65 this year. They're both the same age, and it's nice to spend that time with them. And
I think it's wonderful. I think that's wonderful. I believe me, my wife and I wish our kids lived in the same neighborhood or on the same block so we could hang out with our granddaughters. And I wish because they all live in different states, and that sucks as a grandparent. So yeah, that's cool that you live close to them. Are you married with kids?
No, I have a girlfriend right now, and then I have a dog. I'm a dog dad. His name's Jason. He's a 3-year-old German short hair pointer.
Okay. All right. What's your girlfriend do?
She's a 3rd grade teacher. So bless her heart.
The teacher thing staying in the family.
It does stay in the family. It's all over the place. My sister is a teacher as well. And my brother actually did Teach for America before he went to law school and got into law. But I thought I'd always be a teacher, honestly. That was kind of what I thought growing up. I'd teach and coach sports, and ended up going a different path.
Well, it looks like to me that you were an athlete. Did you get a scholarship to play football at that little school in Illinois there? Is that why you went there for 1 year?
It's Division III, so you can't get athletic scholarships, nor would I have probably been good enough to get one, I would say. But I did get a little bit of academic money as well to help. It's kind of their way of doing it. Only ended up playing 1 semester there, though. It was one of those things where I showed up. I played quarterback, and there's only one of them that plays. And I showed up, and the people in front of me were really, really good. And I was like, this is going to be something where, I'm going to have to sit a while to be able to do this. And, I just ultimately decided it's time to go a different path. I wanted to go to a bigger school and kind of get that real college experience. So I went to University of Missouri.
Let me guess, they tried to move you into a different position too. They tried to get you to stay and say, well, let's play corner or play safety, whatever.
Well, unfortunately, I wasn't a good enough athlete to move anywhere. So they did not try to do that. They did want me to stay. I'll give them credit. They're like, we believe in you, and we think, you continue to work at it. You never know what happens. But ultimately it just, I was a little bit on the fence of playing sports in college already. I'd just done it my whole life. And I was kind of, I'm not going to the NFL. Not going to the MLB or the NBA. So it was time to kind of move on from that. I feel like I still play recreationally.
Do you?
Yeah, not football, but football's a little tough to get together recreationally, but I play basketball every Sunday.
We have something very similar here, my friend, and I've shared this on the podcast before. So my youngest son followed a path almost identical to yours. We live in a small town in Colorado, and he was the high school quarterback, and he was good, and we all thought he was good, and he started a couple of years, and then he went to play at a D3 school for quarterback, and I will never forget the first couple of practices were streamed, so that as parents, if we lived in different states, we could watch practice.
Oh, wow.
Right?
That's cool.
And same thing. There was like eight or nine quarterbacks in camp, whatever they had, right? But a shit ton of them. And I remember sitting there with my wife watching these other boys, and I thought, holy shit, Spencer doesn't have a chance. I mean, it's not even close. Like, wow, I thought my kid was good. And I was like, no. And the same thing, 1 semester. And then he was like, okay, I can't do this. So
I'm sure my parents were saying the same thing. They've always been blind to my flaws. And I'm sure they thought I was the best and I should have been starting.
Yeah. But anyway, you went to University of Missouri. Hey, you got an education there. You majored in marketing. Were you thinking, what was your plan to be a teacher at that time?
No, at that point I'd already switched off. That was more when I was in high school, just sort of thinking about it. And then as I got into college, I figured business would be the best thing for me.
Okay.
And, got into marketing, and I thought I'd be sitting in a room, like coming up with strategies all day. Like,
Yeah. And then what happens? I mean, it looks like to me you've been at Abstrakt almost your entire career. How did you get connected? What happened? How did you get in the door there?
funny story. So I was on a family vacation, and I needed, and I'll make a little disclaimer. I wasn't the best student in college. I've always been good at taking tests, and I had a good GPA. So, but my attendance could have been better for sure. And I will say my last kudos to, I had a really good teacher at the end of my junior year who really kind of pulled me back in and got me interested in marketing and sales. And then I didn't miss one of his classes because I felt like he was bringing the heat. He was teaching me things every single week that I was excited about. So going into that summer, I'm on this family vacation, and my brother-in-law had just moved he was working at Anheuser-Busch, who got bought out by InBev, and he had transitioned over to this company called Abstrakt. I needed an internship to graduate, and I was behind the 8 ball of doing this. So I was, my mom was like, "You need to talk to Chris. You need to talk to Chris."
Well, was he a lawyer? Was he a lawyer or in marketing at that time?
Brother-in-law. So different.
Oh, brother-in-law. Sorry. Okay. Gotcha. All right. Go ahead.
So it was like my mom was pestering me, like, "You need to talk to Chris. You need to talk to Chris. He could get you an internship. His place is so cool. They have a pool table and all of this." So I was like, "Hey, Chris, do you think you could give me an internship?" And so he went to bat for me and got me an unpaid internship, doing whatever I could get done. And then so I started Abstrakt then. We had about 35 employees. We were about $2.5-3 million. And then, fast forward to today, I'm president, and, we're going to do about $60 million this year. So
that's fantastic. What an awesome ride for you. And it's been since you started there. In what year?
I actually started my internship in the summer of 2012. And then full time I started in 2013.
Wow. In 10 years, you've taken it from, what did you say, 2.5 million to, what did you say, 60 something million?
Yeah, we'll be right around 60 million at the end of this year.
And how many employees?
We have right around 550 employees.
Wow.
Might actually be knocking on the door of 600 now.
Wow. Hey, congratulations, man. I mean, that's a huge accomplishment. Really.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, huge accomplishment, especially for a service business. I mean, all these people that are in the tech world or technology, or they invent something and they get some VC money and then they scale it up. I mean, I'm not saying that's easy, but it's a lot harder. I think it's harder to move a service business in that direction in that short amount of time. So kudos.
When people are your product, there's going to be a whole lot of baggage that comes along with that, and there's a whole lot of grind and hard work. And it's not, I'm just playing a role in it, and I've just played a role. Our CEO has had the vision and been able to lead us, and then plenty of talented people that have worked really, really hard to get where we're at. So it's cool to be proud of what we're doing. And I love our, not to talk about our service much, but the service we provide to clients is the same one we use for ourselves to grow our business. So it makes a lot of sense. It's okay to brag about how much we've grown because I'm bragging about the service that we provide to our clients.
Right. Yeah. Very good. Obviously, the CEO is the founder, and is he still involved? Does he still come in every day, or what's his?
Yeah. Comes in every day. One of the hardest workers you'll ever meet. And I think that, it's hard to scale a service business to this size without having a CEO that's leading the way with a strong work ethic. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we don't have plans of selling or stopping anytime soon. We want to continue to grow this.
Now, sometimes when you get to around 60 million, maybe 100 million, it depends, I guess. There are those times where the founders, where the business has outgrown them, and it's like, okay, let me bring in somebody to take this to 200 million or whatever. Has he talked about that, or he's just like, I'm just having fun building it for right now?
I think he's done a really good job of, always learning, and he's not like stuck in his ways on how he's going to do something or what he's going to do. And he's really good about seeing around the corner. And then he's really good about finding good people to put in spots, to own things and run forward with them. And so I haven't seen any signs of, he may not be the right fit to do it. And I think he's having fun doing it. I really do. I think it's.
Does your brother-in-law still work there?
My brother-in-law does still work there. He actually has branched out and he started one of the divisions. It's really like Abstrakt Marketing Group is almost the holding company.
Okay.
We have made one acquisition in our history. We have a couple different product lines, but he actually started his own business called Abstrakt Cloud Solutions. And so he does Salesforce consulting, and he started it 3 years ago. And, he's looking at a $5 million business by the end of next year. So
How about that? How about that? And you and him, you get along okay at the family functions and the Thanksgiving dinners? Everything's okay?
Oh yeah, he is literally like, if you wanted someone to marry your sister, this is the person you would pick. He is an incredible guy. I mean, such a good leader, and he's so smart with Salesforce and consulting. And I owe everything to him, right? Like I wouldn't even.
Yeah, that's great.
That's
cool. Now's probably a good time to give us the overview. Give us the 3 minute, 4 minute,
sure.
Pitch real quick of the company and why you're special and all the different things you do. Go for it.
Sure. So I like to call us, a sales development company. I think that's the easiest way to look at it. And we do everything up into you sitting down with a qualified prospect to sell your services. So whether that be phone calls, email, social media, web development, ongoing content, video, marketing assets, collateral, all of those things to get you in front of qualified prospects. And I think the thing that makes us different is we've put millions of dollars into this infrastructure in our process to ensure we're talking to people at the right times to be able to be successful. And, in addition to our core products, which are focused around driving leads, we have 3 different divisions. Cloud Solutions, which I mentioned earlier, doing the Salesforce consulting. We just really started a staffing company just because it was just a need of a lot of our clients. So it was kind of.
You should have called me. We could have just partnered, right? We could have.
I know. We should have done that.
What's the staffing arm called? Or what do you? Is that a branch? You calling that something?
Yeah, not a branch yet. Just kind of wrapped in the umbrella right now. Just staff. This is a division. And but we're seeing a lot of interest because obviously we're in the day and age, it's tough to find people, and
yes,
we just have a lot of infrastructure in place that makes it easier for us to go find individuals. And then the last thing is called ProServe, or professional services. Will be Sapper Consulting, but that is the branch that does sales enablement consulting. So they'll go into large organizations and help them set up their outreach infrastructure to be able to market to clients. So a lot of things going on, but the core of our business is our outbound SDR product, our inbound SDR, and then our what we call bionic SDR, which is web, call, and email tied together with LinkedIn wrapped in there, working through a qualified list of prospects to get you in front of the right people at the right time.
Is that technology doing that, or do you have people dialing for dollars and human beings sending emails, or how does that work?
Both. So we have 200 people in this building down on the landing that are dialing every single day, setting appointments.
Okay, very good.
We believe in the phone and that it's not going anywhere. And in fact, as a lot of people say cold calling's dead. Well, as long as more people say that, there'll be less people reaching out to the prospects we're trying to get a hold of. So, and then we have a lot of emails. Our email is a lot of people, but a lot of automation involved on both sides of those to be able to get in front of the prospects.
The phone thing, let me just stop. Well, actually, I'm going to come back to the phone thing real quick. So Abstrakt Marketing. So it's Abstrakt and it's KT, Abstrakt Marketing, right? The Abstrakt Marketing Group. The website is abstractmg.com. For the listeners, just want to make sure I clarify there. Anything else you want to mention there real quick as far as URLs, or I know you mentioned the podcast.
Yeah, I think check out the Grow Show podcast. Look me up on LinkedIn, Eric Watkins, president of Abstrakt Marketing Group. As you said, ABSTRAKT because we're different, right? That was and
Yeah.
then MG at the top at the end for marketinggroup.com. And then look it up or reach out to me directly. And, if it's for business, but also if you just have questions about growing your business or, maybe you're trying to set up your own infrastructure internally. I'm very passionate about what we do. So I look forward to if I can be of assistance in any way.
What's your target? Startup, small, medium?
Everybody. I will say that typically to afford our services, not always, depending if you got startup money or whatever, but $1 million and up in annual revenue is typically our sweet spot. And then we work a lot with small to medium sized businesses. We work in a lot of core niches too. So like IT services, HVAC services, commercial cleaning, commercial roofing, industrial, and then a lot of software, as you can imagine, commercial insurance. There's a lot of we're working in like 200 different industries, but we have a lot in some of those niches.
Sounds like a specialty in service business, but do you do product CPG and product businesses as well?
Yeah, so we do, as long as it's got to be B2B. So as long as they're marketing their product, maybe to a distributor, whatever it may be. Yeah.
Okay, B2B. Okay, very good. Good to know. All right, and I'm sure on your website there's a contact us or whatever. They can just go in there and fill out something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. And
I mentioned the Riderflex podcast, so I can give Steve his cut if we.
Yeah, exactly. Are you nationwide? Are you global? Or are you focused on the Midwest? Or what are you doing there?
Yeah, so we are nationwide. We do majority of our business over the phone. So a lot of our clients are all across the country. We also work in. We have exclusive markets. So in some of our industries, we're only allowed to work with a certain amount of clients. So we do have to spread out to expand our business. We're in Canada, we're in the UK, we're in Australia. We're just starting to branch out a little bit globally, but primarily nationwide, United States, all over. We're in every state, I'm pretty sure at this point.
All right, very good. And what's the business model? Is it am I paying for results? Am I paying a flat monthly fee? How am I signing up?
Yeah, so flat monthly fee. So it depends on your appetite for growth and how much you want to spend and how many leads you would want to get in return. But flat monthly fee, and the reason behind that is not because we want to only pay on results, but what we've realized, and this is like a mind shift for people, but this is really a lifestyle change, right? If you want to just get some leads next month, go with somebody else. We're not the best fit for you. But if you want to fix your sales problem where you never have to worry about where your next deal is coming from, those are the clients that we want, because they understand the importance of launching new records into the process every single month and working a process consistently. So when the time is right, instead of going to Google or asking their friend for a referral, they're coming to us because we've established that relationship and been able to build that sales process. So I just think it's a lifestyle change if you really want to fix your sales.
Do I have to sign a contract? Is it month to month? Can I turn it off whenever I want?
No, we have a 13-month agreement. We have people in place that that we staff in advance to make sure that we're working this consistent process over time. Okay,
13 months. That's a long time to sign up. What happens if it goes 2 months and I'm not happy? I can't call and say, "Hey man, I'm done. I'm out."
Yeah, I mean, so our team is incentivized for your success. So like our team is going to be working with you to make sure that your program's successful. So if we have issues, we want to work through it. And, we always want to be reasonable with people.
That's good. That's a good answer, Eric. I can tell you've been hit with that a bunch of times. Good one. Good one. It's great to get people to sign up for 13 months. I had a guy tell me one time, this is one of my favorite lines. He said, I can't remember what he said. We had a service level agreement with him or whatever, you call it whatever you want, contract, service level agreement, whatever. He's like, yeah, we have a contract, but if I decide not to pay you and turn you off, I mean, that's what I'm going to do. I was like, yeah, well, I guess so. I mean, most of us service business owners, we're not gonna, at least for us, right, for Riderflex, if you have a contract with Riderflex, I mean, yeah, I'd love for you to sign a 6-month agreement. And as a matter of fact, if you sign a 6-month agreement, I'm going to give you somewhat of a discount. But if you don't want to be married to us anymore, I'm not going to sue you and force you to use my services at the end of the day, right? I mean, come on.
We have options. We have a 13-month agreement, and then we also have a 13-month agreement with the exit, just like you mentioned, if things don't. So
yeah,
that's a decision you want to make up front, right? Based on the amount of money that obviously the committing for 13 months is a lower price point. And I just, if you're not back to the kind of the lifestyle change and the process, if you're not looking at giving this thing at least 6 months, you shouldn't even sign up in the first place, because we're not even reaping the benefits of us nurturing and following up with these people yet.
Yeah, I agree. So basically, are you getting the meeting for me? Is that a can I use that term, meeting getters?
Yeah.
I mean, are you basically saying, hey man, I got the meeting for you now? Your partner, my partner Scott can meet with them and close them. Is that the deal?
Correct. Yeah. So we actually work with some staffing companies across the country, and so you would say, what we'd like to go after is what's your IT technicians. That's our core niche that we want to go after. We want to do it nationwide. Okay. What skill set do you want them to have? Well, I want them to have at least experience in these 3 things. So then those would be our qualifiers. So then we would only set meetings that were qualified based on most cases the business, but for your case, maybe the person that we would be calling, etc. Or we would be going after businesses on your behalf that you do the staffing for them. That would probably be the more likely scenario. Yeah. And you're like, I only want to do business with clients that are at least hiring 5 people a month. So that'd be a qualifying question we'd ask. And then once we would have that meeting set up, we would set up a calendar invite, put you on it, and then you would take it from there.
During your discovery, before you set up the meeting with me, can you also find out A, whether or not they're going to be assholes, and B, whether or not they're going to pay me on time?
I wish I could predict that. I'd be making a lot more money than I do now. I'd go tell everybody for all their clients.
For everybody listening to this podcast, please pay the damn invoices on time. Why do clients, it's like 75% of clients pay late, and I've seen, by the way, I'm a lot older than you, right? And I've run a few other businesses. So yeah. I've seen it my whole life. Everybody drags on the cash, even when they don't need to. It gets on my goddamn nerves. Even when they have cash, they still are like, oh, it's net 30. So then, if you give them net 30, then they're going to pay net 15. And then you call them, oh, yeah, I think Sally's got that check on her desk. I don't know why she hasn't mailed it yet. I've just heard it all. It's like, just pay the invoice on time, man. Come on.
I know. I'm probably a little bit old school than that. I'm about, if I sign an agreement, I need to honor that agreement.
Seriously.
Whatever that says, whatever the payment terms, that's when I need to pay it.
I had a buddy of mine. This guy's actually still a friend of mine. I'm not going to mention his name. I used to work with him. One time he comes down to my office. And he says, hey, did you paid that bill for ABC Company? You told Sally to pay that bill for ABC Company? I was like, yeah, it was due. And he goes, well, did they call? I'm like, well, what do you mean? He goes, did they call about it? I'm like, no, but it was due. He's like, never pay another invoice until they call twice. I'm like, okay, bro. Yeah, come on, man. Come on. Anyway. No, I'm just joking. Okay? So you vet you get them set up for us. You tee them up. You set the meeting. Boom, we close the deal. Okay, cool. All right, very good. Do you get bonuses or anything for performance? Is there any kind of like result?
Kicker? No, we do not, and that's part of the reason with the monthly fee is it's like you close $1 million, you close $1 million. You don't have to give us anything, but we actually do pay our people internally because we assume and know the correlation between our clients being successful and higher client retention. So
you have some tracking, you have some data or something that you spit back to me and you're like, hey man, you've closed 5 deals in the last 6 months. Those are all ours.
Yeah. Like, wait, are you asking for me specifically?
If we were working together, do you send me reports that show that? Do I see the results? Do I have I have to track on my own. Oh, did that lead come from Abstrakt, or where did we get that one? You guys.
Great question. So I mentioned Salesforce Consulting. We have a full client portal built out, and you can see all the activity going on with your campaign. And then all of your opportunities are in there, and you can use it as much as you want. But what we do is we have a monthly results meeting with every partner, which we're big about. So we'll meet and we'll go through all the opportunities that we set up on your behalf, because we want to know where they stand. We want to, a lot of our clients need a little push or consulting on their sales process.
Okay.
But ultimately, it's a way for us to share in your success so we can inform our team members and track that.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you for that overview. I really appreciate it. I'd like to dig in a little bit here and challenge you on. I mean, Eric, I hear this. Do you know how many times I have been called? All right. I want to come back to the phone thing. I'm still going to talk about that.
Okay.
But do you know how many times I have been hit either with somebody on the podcast, because we've interviewed numerous CEOs from marketing firms, marketing agencies. And I have lots of friends in that business. I get emails all the time. Every day I'm getting hit with somebody's like, we can get you great leads. We can blow your business up. I mean, I get it. It's constant. I get a barrage of people saying how they can just increase my business. I mean, it's every day I get these calls.
So what I would say to that is, we make, where am I speaking from first? We make millions of calls every single month, hundreds of thousands of calls every single month. We send out millions of emails every single month. So we have a large data and sample size. And what I would tell partners is, like, we're not promising you're going to get this amazing lead. We're going to set what a qualified lead is to me is the right company, right? It fits the size that we're looking for, the right person, and we can get them to agree to meet. And then from there, you can't take the sales out of selling. Like, you have to go out there and work your process and get them excited. So when people what I would say is, like, we're just real. We're $60 million. We've been around. We have a ton of data. We have the infrastructure. People need this service. There's a lot of people you can do it with. You can do it internally. Take it, leave it. Doesn't matter to me. But you need to get in front of new companies every single month. I know we can do that. They're not all going to be waiting with pen in hand, but that's on you.
Are you head of sales? Because you pitch the company pretty good. Or are you in sales ops, or what do they got you? I mean, I know you're president, but does it lean towards ops or sales, or what's it lean towards?
Well, it's funny because it's actually switching, but I was over, I grew up in the operations side of the business, and then I got into account management. And then when I moved into the president role, I took over sales and other facets of the business. Love sales. Yeah, I do love it. It's a passion of mine, but I'm more, I would say, operationally driven for sure.
That's because you're a natural leader, and you've been a leader since you were in high school. You played quarterback, so you've been leading people your whole life, basically.
That is something that has come naturally for sure.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it all over you, which is super awesome. Now, what about the fact that you serve other recruiting firms? How am I going to know you guys? Why are you going to take care of me instead of ABC recruiting firm? How's that work?
Yeah, I mean, we're upfront about that. Like, when we start with a partner and talk to them about that, it's up to you. We're probably not in the same, not to hurt our staffing, but our staffing was created to help our clients in certain niches, primarily the industrial niches, and IT space as well. But I know that might be a niche of yours, but
okay. Okay.
Your list is your list, though. Like, that's part of our exclusive agreement is, like, by our contract, we can't target those companies for anybody else in your industry.
Okay. When your person is reaching out to our target list, are they saying, I'm Sally with Riderflex, or I'm Sally with, how's that work?
Yeah, they would say, I'm Sally with Riderflex. So we look at it as we're really looking for that partnership where we're an extension of your business.
Okay. And what if Sally is talking to John, and John's like, what's your name? And she's like, oh, my name's Sally Brown. I'm with Riderflex. And then he tries to find Sally Brown on LinkedIn, and Sally Brown is not branded on LinkedIn with Riderflex. Then
yeah.
what?
First off, never happens. Like, haven't heard of this in probably 5 years, but a lot of people bring it up. It's a good point. You would just come clean. Like, we're not going to, and you would just say, like, hey, I'm actually working out of our St. Louis office. I work for a company called Abstrakt Marketing Group.
Right.
I do work for Riderflex. I'm connected because we want our reps to have a relationship with the people that they're working with as well. I just say, you know, what I always like, if that ever comes up, it's like, there's a certain point where you just tell them the truth. And people are like, okay, makes sense. It's such a common thing these days.
That would make me, that would make me a little bit nervous. I'm not saying I wouldn't say, I'm not saying that I would say no to the business. I just, you know, we try to get some of our contract recruiters, because some of our recruiters are W-2 and some of them are contractors. And some of the contractors are like, well, you know, I'm a contractor, I work on other things. And so my LinkedIn is branded with XYZ. And I'm like, well, I don't want you making phone calls for Riderflex unless it says Riderflex as well as whatever else you're doing. So, because I don't want people to be like, well, I looked her up. She didn't work for Riderflex. What the hell's going on here? So that part makes me nervous, but that hadn't been an issue, huh? No. Okay.
Because what we're really doing is, like, if you would run the meetings or Scott would run the meetings, we're building you up. So the focus comes off me very quick, and I'm talking what the value is of the meeting. So if anything, they're going to look you up or look Scott up for that meeting.
Is the email that they're using Riderflex?
Yeah, everything is Riderflex.
Everything's Riderflex except for their brand on LinkedIn. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
All right, good. That's a good question. You mentioned the phone. This is a passion of mine. You know, I get onto the recruiters about this too. You know, one of my favorite things I say to them, I always say, "Have you called them?" I got this issue. This la 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 la. Have you called them? Have you picked up the phone? I wish. What is it with millennials, especially? Just pick up the damn phone. I mean, you could solve so many things if you would just call somebody.
You know, it is that might be the number one thing that I love about my job, is taking these individuals, much like myself when I came in, who would never want to cold call in a million years, and then seeing like the people that embrace it, they just become like cold-blooded killers. Like, they are amazing. Like, after they go through that experience, it's like, you don't have to want to do it for your whole life, but just do it, learn it, and you will be in a completely different spot. But unfortunately, you know, I tried it when I talked to training. I'm actually talking to our new hire trainings class, our newest training class after this. And that's one of the things I preach on the most, because that's the hardest part of, like, oh, I don't want to make calls. It's like everything happens through calls or face to face, like, but a lot of people are remote now. There's nothing better than talking to somebody face to face.
It's magical. I really encourage people to do it. And if you're teaching your salespeople to pick up the phone, you're ahead of the game, because, you know, like I said, I get hit with all these firms like, oh, we're going to get you leads. I'm like, well, how do you get the leads? Well, we have this bot, and this new bot that we've created works on LinkedIn and sends these automated emails. I'm like, man, nobody's reading those. Like, what are you talking about? No. And here's the other thing I think is hilarious. My phone number is right on my LinkedIn profile. I mean, all you gotta do, it's right there. It's in the content section. And guess how many real, authentic phone calls, by the way, from somebody in the US that I can understand.
Right.
Guess how many of those calls I get? Never.
Not many.
Never.
It's crazy.
I always tell my wife, I'm like, I'm not that hard to find. My phone number's right there.
Phone number's right there. I will say we acquired Sapper Consulting 2 years ago.
Right.
Or actually, sorry, no, a little over a year ago at this point. And I was kind of the same philosophy. I have, like, they focus on email marketing, and it's scary how good they are and how much the metrics they've gotten down. However, the one thing that's really taken them to the next level is taking these responses and calling them, right? And actually having that conversation.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't, if I, first of all, if somebody calls me and I can't understand what they're saying because this is not a bias against the US versus India-based companies, whatever, but if I cannot understand them, it's over. And the second thing is, if I get an automated bullshit email and I can tell the profile is fake or it's a bot or whatever, I never look at those. And the last thing is, if the message is long, like if you're hitting me with an initial message and it's two paragraphs, chances of me reading it are 0.
We have a lot of stats, and this isn't my area of expertise. I'm still learning, but having a subject line over 4 words, and then I was listening to this podcast about like just people's attention span these days, and
Yes.
no one
Yes.
will ever scroll past the screen that opens up. Like they'll never go to the bottom of a message.
That's
And
right.
then on average, you're gonna get somebody looking at something for like 20 seconds. So
That's
it's
right.
like,
It's the TikTok mentality.
Yeah.
TikTok has made it even worse because everybody's just like their
Yeah.
attention span is like 3 seconds. Boom, boom, boom.
crazy. Are you on TikTok?
I am. Yep, I am. I'll send you the link. Yeah, we're on. We put our podcast on everything. Yeah, everything.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Yeah, we just try to get it out there. Okay, very good. I really, appreciate you going deep into some of the things you guys do. The phone piece is attractive for me, and I think there's a lot of small businesses, and we're about 2.3 million recruiting firm, so we're right in your wheelhouse, as far as a target client, and we are right there. And I think there'll be a lot of other people listening to this episode. We are right there where we're like, man, do we need to bring on a couple of salespeople, a couple of sales reps underneath Scott? Because right now, the rainmakers for our business are me and Scott. Now, the recruiters that we have, they got that dialed in. The operational side of the business, the recruiting side of the business, good to go. But as far as people's getting contracts signed, that's me and Scott.
It's
So they all depend on us to feed them, right? And
Right.
Scott we're now busy enough, right about 2 million, where Scott, he gets pulled into old business, right? This is what happens. He gets pulled into current relationships or old business where something is going on here, which takes him away from new business, right? So now half of his day is over here doing follow-up with an account or whatever, client relations, I would call it, instead of focusing on new business. So it'd be great to have a resource like yours that is just constantly focusing on new business,
Well, would love to have your business, A, so we can talk more about that. B,
Yeah.
I think it's cool that you're sharing that, because that's where a lot of our partners were at. And you're in this spot of like, do I hire a sales rep?
Right.
Do I hire somebody internally to make calls? And my thing is like, let's get someone doing full-time outbound prospecting to feed Scott up with leads. And let's make sure Scott has this process down, because I think the biggest waste of money in sales is just throwing sales reps in and expecting them to hit a number, and you don't have any sales process maybe built up for them or an infrastructure to drive leads for them. So like our sales reps here, we actually use our process to drive them leads. They don't make a ton of cold calls themselves because we want them selling and spending their time doing that. So I recommend use somebody else. I recommend outsourcing it because it's such a headache to try to do internally. Take my word for it. But I would find a way to get a consistent flow of leads. And then when you hire that sales rep, you're literally handing off like, hey, I can't follow up with these leads. Here you go. And they're going to be more likely to see success.
One of the best lines on your website, I don't know who did this for you, but and I like the website. It says who you are. There are so many businesses that just, you look at the website 5 times and you're like, man, I still don't know what they do.
Yeah. I know.
But one of the best lines on here is, for less than the cost of a full-time employee. Bingo, right there. Because most business owners, I know you deal with this every day, right? When you're trying to get contracts signed, so they're like, well, I could just hire Johnny at 75 grand a year, and that's going to be less than what I'm going to have to pay you. And then they want to bring it in house. But when you said for less than a full-time employee, okay, that got my attention actually this morning when I was getting ready for you. I was like, okay, that's a good line. I like it.
I like that. Yeah, I did not come up with that. I love that line though. We have a great marketing team. But it's interesting though, like when you start adding things up, because not only like you would go hire the employee, and then you're like, okay, we need to send emails out. What's the software we're going to buy, and how are they going to track it in a CRM, and what's the phone system? And then you have insurance benefits, and then that person turns over, or they're really good and want to do something else. It starts adding up, and it's just a crazy amount. But the price we pay is less than the salary you'd probably pay entry level person or
that's very good to hear. I like that. Are you going to tell me the same thing that all these SEO guys tell me? You know, these SEO people, we can fix your SEO, but it's going to take 6 months for you to see your results. When do I see results, Eric? How fast?
Yeah, that's a great point. I do probably have the same answer, because it is a process. You might get leads. You might get some leads immediately, but it is, Google is always changing, A, and then B, you have to write consistent content to get that rank up. Like that's the name of the game is knowing what Google's looking for and then writing that content consistently. So, that's what we do, and that's what we preach. Now we do PPC as well, and we can get some good ads out there and get you leads a lot quicker. But if you want to do this for the cheapest and for the long haul, you are going to have to invest in one of those people who say that it takes time to get the leads, because that is the case. I mean, we saw it. Same thing. We started our web development because we designed our own website, and we were like, hey, we figured this out, how to do it. And so we write content every month, like tons of words for our website, blogs, etc. And our keyword ranks in these areas are just in different spots now. So
what if you had to rank your specialty? Is it the people working the phones getting meetings, or is it what is your number one thing?
I would say, well, first of all, we're trying to make this less of a choice in the future, where it all comes together, right? So you can use all of our services together. And I look at the web, the phone, and the email. They're not really exclusive lead gen tools. You really need all three. Okay. Where we started was phone calls. And then we've actually grown our business by needs of our customers. So it was like, all right, we started with phone calls, and then we were like, hey, customers want us to send emails for them and do campaigns as well. Okay, so we started emails. And then they're like, customers don't have anything to give to people when they go out on the meeting. So we started our creative services division and did design, video, and collateral. And then we realized, hey, we're setting all these appointments, and then prospects are going to our customer's website and not wanting to go to the meeting because their website sucks. So then we started doing web development for our clients. And, it's just, we've kind of just grown, but the full focus is just to put you in front of that right prospect. Our SEO product is really, really good, and our web development. But I would say our flagship product is the calling with the email.
Okay, very good. All right, my friend. Well, hey, listen, you do a great job of representing the company. I can see why you got moved up. I can see why you got promoted. You do a good job. And plus, I hit you with some challenging questions that I'm sure you've heard a million times, right?
I don't get them as much anymore. I'm a little further apart, but it's my career for sure.
Okay. Very good. So the girlfriend now, is there any marriage? Is there what's going on here? Is this the one, or what's happening, Eric?
Yeah, it is.
Think so?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Figure out the timeline, but yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 32. Just turned 32.
President at 32. That's a good mark, man. It's a good mark. Now are you going to take over the company? Are you going to be CEO? Are you going to get some equity? What have you talked to the founder about equity?
Yeah, I am a shareholder now. So I do have shares in the business, which was super gracious of them and something that they didn't have to do. And I'm just focused on getting really good at my job and creating an environment. The people are what motivate me. So I'm trying to create the best environment for people to learn, grow, and develop. And everything else has taken care of itself. I'm not really worried. I'm never really worried about that. Just kind of stay focused on, the true reasons why I'm here, and, the money will add up in the end.
At your level with 500 people, 60 million, you're 85% of your job is just people, right? I mean, really.
It's funny because I'm operationally focused. So I'll catch myself in this spreadsheet doing some data, and I'm like, what am I doing? I need to getting people fired up and talking to them about vision and, helping remove barriers and obstacles. So you're 100% right on that.
Yes. Yep. I've lived the life. Well, congratulations on everything, Eric. Really Happy to see you guys doing well. Love the pitch of the business. One more time for the listeners, Abstrakt, the K, right? It's Abstrakt with a K instead of a C there.
Yep.
MD.com.
Yep. ABSTRAKTMG.com. You can get to about anything you want to from there. And then you can look me up on LinkedIn, Eric Watkins at Abstrakt Marketing Group. And then we have the Grow Show on Spotify is probably the best place.
That's great. Subscribe to the Grow Show podcast right after you hit the subscribe button to Riderflex, of course.
There we go. You got to do both. You can't just do one. You got to do both.
Appreciate you being on the show and sharing your story, Eric. Thank you.
Absolutely, Steve. Nice to meet you.